And we're back! Greetings and welcome to the 18th edition of Big Bad Bat Reps. Nick here with a special treat for you. I don't know if this has been done yet, but we got Nagash versus the Glottkin. It's a 2,000 point battle. My buddy War General Teague's got the Glottkin. He's going to run a Chaos Legions army against my Undead Legions army led by Nagash. This should be epic. I apologize here. I had missed a couple weeks. I had some home improvements going on, and the North Star GT also just wrapped up the weekend past. Had a blast there. Got to see a lot of old friends. Always a treat. Got my butt stomped the first game, but did pretty well after that. I will be making a video. Also, I took some pics of some armies, and I'll do a little recap video for that. But for this one, we got Nagash versus Glottkin. Enjoy. Let's get on to the lists. So for Undead Legions, my list is of course led by Nagash, the Supreme Lord of Undeath. He's the big bad baddie there, you can see. I also, for core, I got 3 units of 5 Direwolves, 3 units of Skeletal Archers with a standard in each one, and the rest of my list is made up of Tomb King's rare choices. I got 2 Screaming Skull Catapults, a Hydro Titan, which he works really well with Nagash. He's going to give me plus D3 to all my casting attempts, provided I'm within 12 inches of him. And the Casket of Souls. Again, that's got a great bounce spell, and that also works good with Nagash, giving me D3 dice each magic phase. So, kind of a little artillery slash range deal here. We'll see how it works against the Glottkin. War General T has a Chaos Legion list here. The book just came out a little bit not too long ago. I'm super excited about it. I play Beastmen and I have a Warriors army, so could be really cool stuff. His army is, of course, well, he's got the Glottkin in there, but his general is going to be that Beast Lord. He has an Enchanted Shield and Gouge Tusks. He's got a Wargore BSB, Shield Dragon Helm, and Shadow Hide. That gives him -1 to hit, or if they're in cover and whatnot. He's got 14 Warriors of Chaos, Mark of Nurgle. They got Shields and Halberds with a Musician, 5 Chaos Warhounds, 2 Tusk Gore Chariots with Mark of Nurgle. Nice, they can take marks now. And unit 24 Bestigore with Marks of Nurgle. They got a standard Musician. That unit can be pretty nasty in and of itself. Let's check out spells. So as you may or may not know, Nagash knows 9 spells. I can choose, he knows Rise the Grave Call, which is the SIG from the lore of Undeath, and then I get to pick my 8 other spells from the lore of Death, Light, Vampires, or Nakara. I chose to roll for 3 out of Undeath, and I got Razkar, the Abyssal Swarm, Akar Aran, the Dark Riders, and Kandoric, the Harbinger. So that's going to let me raise units. I didn't get any of the damage stuff, but this is going to work good. I also rolled for 3 spells off Lore of Vampires. I think this is an especially incredibly important lore for Nagash, as when he casts them, he gets to heal up. He's kind of tough, but not that tough, and the ability to heal up via casting these spells is super duper important. Plus, I like Lore of Vampire spells. I'm a Vampire Counts player. It's in my blood. So I roll up Van Hell's Dance Macabre, of course, Invocation of Nehek, and Curse of Years, which might help me whittle down those couple blocks he has. I rolled on the chart for 1 spell from the Lore of Death, thinking I could get, worst case scenario, I get Spirit Leech. I roll up Soul Blight, love it, I'll take it. And 1 spell too from the lore of Nakara. There's a lot of useful stuff in there. I rolled a 5, and I will take Usek's Incantation of Desiccation, which is basically like, now I got 2 Soul Blights. Pretty cool. The Glottkin uses, counts as a level 4, one of the guys riding on there. He uses spells from the lore of Nurgle. He rolled up Stream of Corruption, which is the SIG. Rancid Visitations, which of course is nasty. Fleshy Abundance, and Plague Wind. These are relatively short range, so he's going to have to close in on me, but they're also very dangerous spells. So we'll see how that goes. Quick look at deployment here. You can see on his right flank, he's got a Tusk Gore Chariot, Mark of Nurgle, and another Tuskor chariot, and they are bookcasing that unit of 14 Chaos Warriors with Mark of Nurgle. They got halberds and shields, so I mean it's not a big block, but that should be kind of tough to move. And moving a little more toward the center, which would kind of, I don't want to call it his left flank because he's kind of centrally deployed, but he's got that unit of 24 Bestigors with Mark of Nurgle and the Beast Lord and BSB in there. That's kind of a nasty unit. It's, well, he borrowed some of my Beastmen stuff. And that's going to be a tough unit. You can see you got the big bad boy Glottkin there. He doesn't have those characters mounted up on there, but that's a pretty impressive model. And he's got 5 Chaos Warhounds in front of that. So let's check out my deployment. So on my right flank, I have a Screaming Skull Catapult there in the corner that can reach out and touch whatever it needs to. It's got plenty of range. That model behind the ruins there is really my Exalted Hero of Tzeentch BSB that I use for my Warriors army. He will be proxying as my Hydrotite in this game, as I don't have one built, but I'll have to get something going on that. Behind, next to Nagash there, you can see him. I got my Casket of Souls, 5 Direwolves, 2 units of 20 Skeletal Archers. And moving over to my other flank, you can see more archers, 2 more units of direwolves, and my other catapult. All the terrain you'll see in this game is mundane. We don't have any magical stuff, but I always like to make a table that looks kind of cool. This looks kind of wastelandish, kind of end timesy, so I hope the stage is set for a really epic battle. Let's get it on! For Vanguard moves, I just move my wolves up a itsy bitsy bit over here. And same story on my right flank. I just move my wolves up a little here. I don't want to get Nagash too crammed behind there. He triples the range of all those spells, so if he can move up a little bit, but not too far, he can hopefully raise some cool units in neat places. And we roll off to see who gets first turn. War General T's got +1. He finished deploying before me, and he wins the roll off. He's going to get first turn. Turn 1, I'm going to refer to this army as the Glottkin in future reference here, because I think it just sounds kind of cool. He moves those warriors up a little bit. There's no charges. He moves his chariots just up a wee bit, and his others, I think he just moves up just a little itty bit with those Warhounds, Glottkin, and his Bestigor block with characters in there. Now, I'm just going to make a little disclaimer here. One thing we messed up in this game, I had just picked up the Glottkin book. It's still in its shrink wrap as we're playing this game. War General T's got the rules, and after the game, I figured we completely forgot to do the Reign of Chaos table for the Winds of Magic. Round 1, he ends up with 12-6 after channels. He rolls an 11, so Nagash would have had to take a demonic instability test. Not a demonic instability test, but a leadership test. And it's possible he could have failed that and turned into something. Again, new rules, new stuff, kind of a mix-up. But he's got a ton of dice here. Not much is in range, though, so he casts Rancid Visitations on these dogs, kills 2 of them. They fail their toughness test, and they take a d6 more strength 5 hits, and they're going to get wiped out. He has quite a few dice left over. Stream of Corruption and his other spell, there's nothing else in range, so he tries to cast Plague Wind, and he gets a pretty high total. It's not irresistible, and I roll my 6 dice and dispel it. With nothing, he has no shooting and nothing in combat, we move to Undead Legion's turn 1. Undead Legion's turn 1, I start by charging my unit of direwolves into this chariot. Here you can see those direwolves charging into that chariot. There's not too much other movement, except that I slide my Hydro Titan up a little bit and move Nagash up just a wee bit. He can rotate, and he slithers through that unit of archers and the Casket of Souls there to get a little more range. Hopefully he can get something cool behind those guys. So Winds of Magic is 8-5 after channels and casket givings. I start and I roll 4 dice at Razkar the Abyssal Swarm. I get a pretty high total. Again, I'm adding D3 from the Hydro Titan. I'm within 12 inches of him. And War General T fails to dispel. I think he rolls all of his dice at it and just can't get it done. So a unit of 8 sepulchral stalkers appears behind the Glottkin. This was kind of, knowing Glottkin's initiative 1, this was kind of one of the things I had planned for getting rid of him. He's got 12 wounds and regeneration. He's just he's gonna a beast. I mean, it's really tough. He gives those anything Mark of Nurgle gets to reroll charge distances. There's that big unit of Bestigor right there and some chariots. Obviously the goal is to get rid of Glottkin here. He's like 800 some points. So those guys are going to hopefully help out and do some damage with their transmogrifying gaze attack. So with 4 dice left in my magic phase, having War General T expelled all of his dispel dice, I throw 4 at Rise the Grave Call, the one to summon up the monstrous infantry. And summon a unit of 11 Cryptors right in front of those Nurgle warriors. That should keep him away from my archers for a while. He can't really wheel past them, and he's going to have to make a decision there. So I got 11 of him. I got 11 Cryptors against his 14 warriors. I know they're marking Nurgle. They got halberds, but I think this is a good place for me. Shooting phase, the sepulchral stalkers do their gaze attack. It's got an 8-inch range. I roll up 8 artillery dies worth of hits, and I score 40 hits. I don't roll 1 misfire. Pretty amazing there. Again, I'm not rolling against his toughness. I'm rolling against his initiative, which is 1. So the transmogrifying gaze is strength 1 against initiative 1. I'm wounding on 4s. I get 21 total wounds. That's pretty amazing. Glottkin rolls up all of his regen saves, and he makes 14 of them, but he takes 7 wounds, so I'll take that. That's a good start. So he's down to 5 left. So I still got more shooting, namely some flaming Screaming Skull catapults, and I've put my first one right in the dead center of Glottkin. You can see my scatter dice, my artillery there. It scatters 2 inches, just a little bit. That hole's still going to be on him. It's a direct hit. Strength 9 on toughness 6. I roll the wound and do. He gets no regen save because it's flaming, and you can kind of see it there, but I roll a 5 for my wounds. D6 wounds 5. I did 7 from the transmogrifying gaze, 5 from the Screaming Call catapult, and Glottkin goes down turn 1. Oh man, tough luck for War General T, but just wow. Moving forward, I have another Screaming Skull catapult. I put it dead center in the unit of that, dead center into the middle of the unit of Bestigor, and I roll a misfire. That's going to be a misfire 2. I take a wound and can't shoot that catapult next turn. This unit of skeletal archers shoots their shots at that chariot and scores 2 wounds. The other unit of 20 archers, they notch their arrows of asp, and they score 1 more wound on that chariot. And my final unit of archers, not all of them are within 24 inches range, or yeah, 24 inches, but I got about 16, 15 of them there, and they score the final wound on that chariot. So they get rid of that chariot, and that unit of Bestigor passes its panic, and we move into the combat. So the only combat is these wolves against the Mark of Nurgle Tuskor chariot. I got the charge. Miraculously, I get 3 wounds. I'm strength 4 on the charge. I get 3 wounds through, and he does 3 back to me, but I charge, so I'm going to win this by 1. And just a wee bit out of Inspiring Presence and BSB reroll range, the chariot breaks. I roll Snake Eyes to pursue him, but he breaks like that. And unit breaking from combat within 6 inches. Those warriors pass their panic test no problem. And we move on to Chaos Legion turn 2. Having suffered substantial losses in turn 1, War General T's not afraid, and he charges those Warriors of Chaos right into those Crypt Horrors. That's going to be a tough fight, I think, for him. But they are Mark of Nurgle, and got pretty high strength. So I do got the 5-up regen, but there's a lot of Crypt Horrors there and a lot of wounds to get through, and just not enough warriors, I think. But we'll see how that pans out. The chariot that fled from the direwolves earlier rallies and turns around, and the Bestigor and dogs move up a little bit. He passed his march check there, um, trying to get out of the way of those sepulchral stalkers a little bit and try to close in on my lines with those Bestigor. The warriors are locked up. The Bestigor can still do some damage if they get into those archers and stuff. But I think I'm going to be able to close in on them with my stalkers from the rear. With no magic or shooting to speak of, we move right into combat. The warriors are going first. They're strength 5 with halberds, hitting on 3s. He does 4 wounds to me. I can't roll regens for crap this turn. I do 4 back to him. I'm hitting on 5s. 6s are poison. Don't get that many. He's got a 4 up or a 5 up armor against my stuff here. He has shields. Those help him against shooting, but not in combat with the halberds. And I do 4 to him. We push on wounds. We each have a rank. He has a standard. He has a charge and a standard, so he wins this by 2, and I crumble by 2. Here you can see what it looks like after that turn. You can see that my last guy had 2 wounds on that last guy in the back. He crumbles away. And now let's check out Chaos or Undead Legion's turn 2. Having a juicy rear charge with my stalkers, I elect to take that. Hopefully pin those guys in place there while I can maneuver and get some more stuff going on. They charge the rear of the Bestigor. He holds. Everything else just kind of stays put. I move Nagash and my Hydro Titan up a little bit to hopefully come in there and finish off those Bestigor. I'm pretty sure that those Crypt Horrors are going to take care of the warriors, and I just need to clean up those Bestigor in the middle there, and this game should hopefully be a wrap. Here's a different angle. Look at the table there. You can see how things are looking here. My one Screaming Skull Catapult is in the way corner up there on the right. You can just kind of see the feet peeking out. My other one is buried to the left. You can't really see that. That's about it for that. I get a big old magic phase here. I don't know if I wrote it down in my notes. I want to say it's about 11 to 5 or 10 to 5, something like that after channels, and I get the D3 from the casket. I'm going to go ahead and I try to cast a 2-die Van Hell's Dance Macabre on the sepulchral stalkers there, hopefully giving them rerolls to hit. I successfully cast that. War General T kind of hems and haws and figures there's worse stuff coming, so he lets that go. I throw 4 dice at a boosted Soul Blight. Those warriors are still within 24 inches of me, and it'd be nice to have them at -1 strength and -1 toughness. So I throw 4 dice at that, and I get triple 6s here and a 4. Excuse me. That's going to be a miscast. Cast irresistibly. Roll up. It is a miscast 6, which is going to be a small template centered on the caster. Nagash has a special rule that lets him re-roll every time while casting a spell, miscast, he can re-roll the result on the miscast table. I'm okay with this. I still got a lot of dice, and this is only going to do 1 wound to me max. So that's a-okay. It's a strength 10. It wounds, but I make my ward save there. I also lose 3 dice from the power pool, and I have 1 die left. I believe... I don't know how this went down here, but I got 1 die left, and I don't know if he has dispel dice left. I don't know how this worked, but anyways, I got 1 die left, and I roll it up for the Harbinger. I only need a 10. I'm a level 5. I'm adding plus D3 from the Hydro Titan, which is in 12 inches of me. I think I end up rolling like a 4 or a 5, plus my 5, the D3 from that. It's a successful cast. And I create a little mini vampire here. Pretty darn cool and wicked at the same time. I just rolled 1 die. I got 65 points. Nagash triples it. That's 195 points. I successfully cast 2 other Laura of Undeath spells earlier in the game. Those are worth 30 points each. Again, Nagash tripling the value of those tokens. I got a 255 point vampire here. So I'm going to raise him up. He's a level 1 vampire Laura Shadow on a Hell Steed with Red Fury, Heavy Armor, Enchanted Shield, Sword of Swift Slaying, and Potion of Strength. I had a couple other points to play with, but I made a couple notes of things I might want to raise, and this guy just fit into that deal, and I'm not going to waste any time trying to spend 5-10 points here. But free kick-ass vampire, 1 die. Pretty neat. Undead Legion shooting phase. These 20 archers shoot those dogs, hitting on 5s, of course. I get about 6-7 hits, which is about math. Hooray for math. And end up rolling surprisingly well on my 2 wound rolls and finish them off in one volley. The only thing left not in combat is that chariot, and the 1 Screaming Skull catapult that can shoot this turn shoots, and big old scatter 10 inches that way. That's not going to hit anything. And here's just a pre-combat view of the table. You can see those catapults again down in the corners. My Casket of Souls, which hasn't done much except for provide me with D3 magic dice every turn. And Nagash and the Higher Titan in a position to come up and hopefully those, well, they're in the rear, so I'm not facing that many attacks. Hopefully they can come in and clean up those Bestigor. On to the combat phase. Remember, those warriors were also in the Soul Blight bubble, so they are -1 strength, -1 toughness. He rolls really good here with his guys and gets 7 wounds through on my Cryptors. He's still got, he still had 2 full ranks there. That's 15 attacks. Rolled, he's hitting on 3s, so rolled good and just wounded really well. 4s on 5s. He just kind of went insane there, and I don't even think I made 1 5-up regen. I take 7 wounds. Him being soul blighted, I do a bunch back. I do 7 back to him. That's going to be a push on wounds. I got a rank. He's got a standard. He's got a musician. I lose by 1 and crumble 1 more. This combat here with the vampire looking on, he's all juiced up and ready to get in there. He chooses not to make way with his characters. My guys go first. Do a pretty big amount of damage here. They got only 2 attacks each, hitting on 4s. They got Van El's Dance, Mark and Nurgle hitting on 5s, and re-rolling 5s. I do all right. I'm strength 5 to his toughness 3 because he is soul blighted, and I do a ton of wounds here. I can't quite count them up, but it looks like 10 or 11 there. He goes back. He's got 5 attacks going backwards. Primal Fury, and he ends up scoring enough wounds. I got like a 5-up armor save being a construct. He's strength 5, I'm toughness 4. He's like hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s. He gets a bunch from me. I'm going to win by a bunch here, but he's steadfast and reforms. So here you can see this. He was steadfast. He doesn't break. He reforms to look at me, turn those guys around, and get max attacks in there and his characters. Again, he's given, the flanks are the flanks. He's got the vampire and Nagash there in his flanks. There's not much he can do about that, but hopefully he can do enough wounds in his turn to, crumble those guys down now. We'll have to wait and see. So Chaos Legion turn 3, having that chariot rallied the last turn. He charges them into these 2 dogs. That is probably not going to be good for those dogs. Here's a look again at the table. You can see the Cryptors are tied up with those last 3 warriors. They should be done this turn. That chariot's, I think, going to pretty much blow up those dogs. And my archers and catapults, everything else is kind of inconsequential. Nagash is a little bit off to the right. No magic or shooting. You can see that chariot makes short work of those dogs, blows right through, overruns. Overruns all right, but I don't even think he was in range to get into those Cryptors, so I'm safe there. The last remaining warriors kind of flub their stuff on my Cryptors, and I just, those guys are gone now. I reform to face that chariot. Combat in the middle. His Beast Lord and Wargore get to go before me. They do some damage. Then I go kill a couple of guys. He goes again, and this fight doesn't go in my favor at all. I lose by quite a bit. I crumble 2 less because I'm within 12 inches of Nagash, and I have just enough guys there. There's 1 Sepulchral Stalker left there, holding those guys up. And coming up next, you know what's going down here. Yep, the key to this game so far has obviously been the stalkers and the cryptors coming in, tying up his big damage units. The stalkers did the work on Glottkin with the transmogrifying gaze, and the catapult finished him off. But now he's got his damage units tangled up with units that don't award any victory points, and the cryptors got the warriors, and the stalkers whittled these bestigor down to definitely a manageable size, and the hurt's coming. So the vampire drinks his potion of strength and charges into the flank. Nagash also charges into the flank. I tried to get my Hydrotitan in there for extra goodness. I think he needed a 6 to get in, and he wasn't interested, so he's just going to watch. Magic, I roll up a 4 and 1. That's 5 to 4 for me. I get 3 from the casket for 8 to 5. I chuck a 2 die at Soul Blight, getting those guys, a little bit weaker. He throws his dice to dispel that. I do manage to get Van Hell's Dance Macabre off on Nagash because he really likes re-rolling. In one of my games, I just flub citied and it was a bad deal. So I always like having that in my back pocket to ensure those 7 attacks do something. And I got a couple dice left, and having failed to cast Soul Blight, I get my other Soul Blight off. Usek's Incantation of Desiccation, pretty much the same deal. I do the lower one here just to get -1 strength and toughness on those guys. Wound a little better, and those bestigor won't be strength 6 anymore. These 20 archers can draw a bead on that chariot. It's only got 1 wound left, and they knock their arrows and shoot and remove the last wound, so that chariot's gone. And in the last remaining combat thing going on in the middle here, my Vampire Lord declares a challenge. He accepts with his Beast Lord. I got Sword of Swift Slang and Red Fury. I kill him for I kill him and I do a bunch of overkill with the Red Fury stuff. I'm strength 8 and going first with rerolls. Then Nagash just pretty much goes to town. He's got 7 attacks and a Thunder Stomp, and that unit's killed down to a man. So that is the game. Again, in retrospect, getting rid of Glottkin turn 1, that was a huge deal. Huge. I mean, those stalkers behind him getting in there, doing the transmogrifying gaze, and those catapults hitting, knocking him out, really put him in a bad place right away. This is a pretty fun list to play, I'll tell you. I'm really enjoying Nagash. Super excited about the Chaos Legion deals like I talked about earlier. There's a lot of different cool stuff we can do with that. Again, I said I have a Beastmen army, a Warriors army. I might do a little bit of Daemon stuff. There's a lot of nasty stuff you can do there. Here's just a little picture of Nagash. He was the victor this time of the Big Bad Baddies. Thanks for watching. Hope you had a great time. I know I did. We'll see you next week.